You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button.
Brad Davis is friggin' awesome. There's just really no other way to put it. This guy has done nothing but land elite offensive lineman after elite offensive lineman after elite offensive lineman so far in his time at LSU. There's just no signs of stopping anytime soon. That doesn't even take into the account the development portion of things that are happening over there in football ops. Brad Davis is just on an absolute heater and has been for like 4 years. And it just doesn't get old. Sunday evening was the latest massive win on the recruiting trail for Brad Davis and LSU. 3-star interior offensive lineman Jalan Chapman out of Warren Easton in New Orleans, standing 6'3", 270 right now. 2026 prospect. The thing you have to keep in mind with Jalan Chapman going forward is just further development. You can see it in the frame and the size. There will be more weight. He will probably grow a little bit more, and there will be more stars tacked on to this. Coveted is a good word to describe Jalan Chapman. It might not really properly state the schools that were after him. LSU beat out an offer list of Alabama, USC, Georgia, Oregon, Tennessee, on and on and on and on and on for Jalan Chapman. This is a guy who I said development is going to be key for him going forward to watch, but it's already started. If you want an idea of the trajectory that he's on and what LSU's getting in Chapman, this is a guy who started day one as a freshman along the offensive line at Warren Easton and then really exploded this past season as a sophomore, now rising junior going forward. Probably projects more along the lines of a center at LSU, and that could just give you even more time to develop. Because if you look at LSU's offensive line situation, you know what it is heading into 2024. They're going to be one of the best units in the country, maybe the best unit in the country. But after that, you're projected to only return DJ Chester in 2025. Now, you look at a guy like Chapman, and he would still have his senior year. But after that would mean Chester would go into the 26 draft eligible, and you could lose your starting center, and Chapman could come in and immediately compete for playing time as a freshman at LSU after he's just continued that trajectory that he's been on. He's going to be fascinating to watch going forward. Now, what I will also say is, we've been doing like an Ask Us thing at the end of the show recently because Otter's in Delmar. And I don't remember what day it was last week, but somebody asked if you're more excited, or I forget exactly the way they worded it. Basically, where's LSU's future greater in the next 3 years? On the offense or on the defense? And the answer is offense. Like, it just is. I mean, the defense, you're rebuilding it. You have a whole new staff. You're trying to, rebuild the talent level up to where it should be to LSU standard, personnel, all of that. And you hope to take a giant step forward in that here in 2024 and beyond under Blake Baker, with Corey Raymond back in the boat and adding Bo Davis and all the things that you know. But that's still going to be a work in progress. Your future is on the offensive side of the ball at LSU right now, and it's still wild to say, honestly. It is, because for the longest time, that seemed like a fantasy. It's reality. And you can look at all the different reasons, and you can look at, you got Bryce Underwood coming in, and man, potentially 3 years down the road, he's a junior and going into his draft year, and you're going to have all the hype, and Harlem Berry, and just the class that you have coming in here, but we're not even mentioning guys that you have already on this team, Caleb Jackson, Caden Durham, who are going to be here for a couple more years each. You could look at the receivers. I will tell you, the reason I'm most excited about LSU's offense going forward is the offensive line, is what Brad Davis has done with that unit. I mean, that's how you dominate, right? Is up front in the trenches. In the SEC, that's what gets it done. And if you just look at the last 2 years, this isn't even counting bringing in Will Campbell, Emory Jones, or Lance Hurd, albeit he's at Tennessee now, but this isn't even counting that. Just the last 2 years. In the 24 cycle, LSU brought in 5 offensive linemen. Currently in this cycle, 25, you have 4. And then you just added one in 26 in Jalan Chapman. That's insane numbers. And again, you need it. Like, it's a position of need right now because you are losing Will Campbell and Dellinger and Frazier and Emory Jones. Like, you expect to lose all of those guys. So you need the numbers. But it'd be one thing if it's just the numbers. It is elite guys, both at tackle and on the interior of the offensive line. A guy like Carius Kern, who's the number 1 player in his state, coming in on the interior offensive line in this cycle in 2025. Or Tyler Miller, same deal. And both of them top 10 interior offensive linemen in the country. You're bringing in the top tier elite players. And you're getting in on them early and often. And that's the case with a guy like Jalan Chapman. So when I look at LSU's offense going forward into the future, yeah, Bryce Underwood's going to be awesome, right? That's going to be fun. And you feel real good at running back with Harlan Berry coming in and already having Caleb Jackson and Caden Durham and those guys. And, man, receiver, you're never going to be hurting for talent at wide receiver at LSU. I mean, you get Shelton Sampson's having a hard time getting on the field here as a 5-star. But when you look at the offensive line and you look at that foundation, that's where I say, okay, you build all that skill talent around those guys, the big uglies, that are just going to move the line of scrimmage, and the future keeps getting brighter and brighter and brighter for LSU on offense. Jalan Chapman's just the latest in line. He's not going to be the last, for sure. I think you expect LSU in 26 to load up on the same kind of numbers they have on the offensive line. 5, 4, 5, 4, and they're all going to be really talented. It's why you're able to withstand a guy like Lance Hurd leaving. And that might be the greatest, compliment you can pay to Brad Davis. That might be the greatest illustration of what they've done on the offensive line is Lance Hurd's 5-star consensus tackle coming in, got some playing time as a freshman, even got a start. That guy leaves, and you're like, okay, next. That continues. It's going to be a lot of fun watching LSU play offense for the foreseeable future, and it starts up front. Jalan Chapman, the latest addition. Class of 2026, the third commitment for LSU in the class of 2026. All 3 of them from the state of Louisiana. It's a big year, 2026, in Louisiana. So we'll have plenty more here actually a bit later on in the show. LSU recruiting-wise, we got to give some thoughts on the Bayou Splash, which was a major success with some really, really big-time targets left on LSU's board in 2025, but also 26 and even some in 2027.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.